What's going on YouTube, and welcome to Digital Perspective. I'm Khaled, and in today's video we're going to be going through how we can create a Mac style dock inside of Adobe XD. Now be sure to like the video and subscribe and turn that notification bell on if you haven't, and yeah, let's just roll the intro. So what's going on, guys? So what I'm going to do is we're going to get into the PC and we're going to really get started on how we can use the techniques that I'm about to show you inside of Adobe XD. So you can see here that we've got the Mac current background wallpaper on there. So what we are going to do, the first thing is we're just going to start creating our icon shape, right? So I want it to be about 75, so it's a perfect square. And then for the border radius, I want that to be 14. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can get the clear side of that. Now, make sure you go into the actual layers component and rename these, because this is very important for later on when it comes down to animating it, regardless of how we changed the images, etc, etc. If we don't name them, things could get messy later on. We don't want that. So this is the app icon, and then we're just going to remove the border. What else do we want to do for now? That's it. Now once we have that, I'm going to go in, and I've got some icons here which I've already downloaded. I'm going to drag one of them in. Perfect. You can see the finder's lovely there. Now we're going to create the different states of each icon. So this is going to be the regular state. And then what we also want to do is let me go back to my components. We also want to create the text that will sit above the icon once you hover over it. I want to curve it just a little bit around the border radiuses. I'm going to use this as a background. And then I'm going to hit the text button and I'm going to say this is Finder. I'm going to use this. I'm going to make it a little bit small. Make sure it's centralized, and I'm going to make it white. Now, because we want this component here to be reactive, so that no matter what text I put in there, the width and the padding is always going to be the same, I need to make sure a few things are set. So the first thing is I want to make sure it's center aligned and not left aligned, otherwise the text will go from the wrong side of it. I'm going to reduce the padding to the point where I want the right amount of padding on the sides, which I think this should be more than enough. I'm going to grab the triangle tool and I'm going to draw myself a nice little triangle. I'm just going to rotate it a little bit so that the pointy side is down, so that's 180 degrees there. Center align that, remove the border, and color it the same color as the back. Perfect. Now here's the trick. Select the background shape and the text. Once you've done that, you want to group them, so Command G. Once you've grouped them, you should see an option here called padding. Click on that, and then automatically it would figure out what the paddings were and then make it the same there. I just want to make sure that both left and right is exactly the same. So now here's the trick. If I double click on the text and I put, let's say, Chrome, you can see how the padding is automatic, and that's what we needed to do. So this is going to be Finder. Perfect. I'm going to select all of this, Command G again, group them together so that we know that this is the tool tip. There we go. Now one last thing we need, I'm just going to bring that here. One last thing we need is we need some sort of an invisible space where the mouse will hover over, and once that's there we can actually allow us to animate the button so that the button hovers up as you saw in the beginning. So I'm going to grab a square. I'm going to make it just slightly bigger than the app icon. I'm going to hold Command and back parentheses so that I can see exactly the padding I'm giving it. That should be perfect. I'm going to leave it, and for now I'm going to leave it white for now so that I know where it is, and we're going to call that invisible button, right? Perfect. Select all of that. I'm going to then go to the component section. I'm going to make a new component. This is the default state, and then I'm going to make a new component. We're going to call this the hover state, and inside the hover state what we're going to do is we're going to select that, double click inside that, select both the icon and the tooltip, drag them up so they hover, right? And once they hover, I actually want to have a little shadow there. So what I'm going to do, I should have done this at the beginning, is I'm going to make a small ellipsis circle. I'm going to fill it into black, and then I'm going to go to object blur, turn it down, and then I'm going to turn the opacity down a little bit, so it just looks like the shadow is actually being generated as it moves up. I'm going to select the icon and the tooltip again, just push it up a little bit more. Perfect. Now I have to copy this because I'm doing it in the hover state. It won't actually appear in the original state. So if I go back to original state, you can see there, that's there. So I need to make sure that that's not visible. But the thing is, it's not inside. You can see it's not inside the group. So click on that, Command exit so I can cut it, double click inside the component, Command V to paste it, turn the opacity to 0. Make sure you name everything, is very important, shadow. And then we go to the hover state, double click inside that, find my shadow layer, and then turn the opacity up to the desired amount. Perfect. So now, if I go back and just hit the one, I'm just going to centralize this so that it's right in the middle. Oh, actually, we forgot one thing, sorry, and that's to hide the tooltip. So double click inside make sure you're in the original state, double click inside that, select the tooltip group. I'm going to push it up because I want it to come from the top down, and turn the opacity to 0, right? Perfect. So now if I could play, bear in mind to forget about the white background. You can see how the tooltip doesn't appear, but you see how the animation of the icon does go up, right? So we're going to fix the reason why that the tooltip doesn't appear is because we've changed the original state. So if I go back to hover state, it remembers and it says, oh wait, I forgot to come out. Turn it to 100%, turn it back to the default state, click play, and you can see, right? So that's really all we need to do now. Because everything is named correctly, everything is going to work perfectly for us. Now, if we do one more thing, which is go back to the default state, double click it, click on the white background, turn the opacity down, and then go to the hover section, make sure the opacity is also down for that. Click play again one more time. Now you can see, and the white background, it's still there, but it acts as a placeholder for us so that the mouse is recognized when it's over it, right? So now that we've done that, what we need to do is we need to build out the rest of it. So I'm just going to move my icon here for now, zoom in a little bit, I'm going to grab a rectangle tool, draw out a box. So obviously it has to be the height has to be slightly higher than 75, because that's the size of our icons. I'm going to send it backwards, make sure that the icon's there, make sure it sits comfortably, maybe reduce a little bit. Brilliant. It's too wide, I think. Let's just reduce it a little bit there. Perfect. I'm going to curve the borders a little bit as well to about 18. Turn off the border. Now I'm going to go to background blur here. If I click on that, you can see it's already done a nice little, let's go to section, let's drag the image over a section where we can see it. There we go. So you can see how that purple gets blurred out very nicely. Now you can play about with it and how much you want to blur it. You can blur a little bit, a lot, entirely up to you, right? But for now, we're just going to leave it as it is. So we're going to select all of that, bring it back into the center. If I can find it, there we go. Perfect. And we're just going to start adding some other icons in there. So we're going to drag this to the side. And then we're going to click Shift drag or Command Shift drag. Another icon, and so forth, till we have the right amount of icons that we need. You can add as many as you want, by the way, it doesn't really matter. I'm only just going to start off with these 5. And here's the best part. Now, because we've set all the rules up and everything, all we need to do is we need to just go in and start adding the icons in. So I'm going to add this one. You can see there, obviously you can see that the image is slightly at a lower quality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click inside that, find the original JPEG, and I'm going to increase it a little bit. Or ultimately just find a better colored icon, really. And then what we also need to do is once we go to the hover state, since it goes back to the default Finder icon, we need to make sure that that's also changed. So click on that, drag that in, and then just remember, there you go, double click on that and just size it up a little bit so that it hides the border. Perfect. And then while we're here, what we want to do is we want to change the text. So go back to the default state. Now, because we can't see the text here, just for temporarily, I'm going to bring it back up and I'm going to say photos, copy that. I'm going to go into the hover state, double click inside the text, paste that, perfect. And then what I'll do, go back to the hover state, click on that, and then just turn the opacity down for that. Now I'm going to quickly fast forward me doing it for the other ones, but before I do that, I'm going to show you one with just one icon rather than 3 icons. So let's take, for example, the Safari one. I'm going to drag Safari on top of that. Again, double click inside it, bring out the tooltip, and then put Safari, copy the text, go into the hover state, double click in that, paste that, and then obviously bring the image back in. Wonderful. So yeah, I'm going to fast forward me doing the other ones really quickly so you don't have to sit here and watch me do it, and I'll be back in a second. And there we go, right? So now if I go back and I play the animation or the prototype, maximize that, you can see now every single one hovers over and does what we need exactly. Beautiful. So hope you've enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to smash a like button and subscribe as well to the channel. We do have some other videos in the end cards there for you to check out. And until the next video, I guess, my name is Khalid and I'll see you then. Peace.